Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. A massive, warm hello to all of you amazing minds tuning in today. Seriously, thank you so much for clicking and joining me to explore this fascinating topic. Before we dive deep into the mysteries inside our heads, sending the biggest virtual hug and all the positive energy your way. Wherever you are right now, whatever your day holds, I genuinely hope you're feeling fantastic, full of vitality, and staying wonderfully healthy. May you always be blessed with strength, peace, and a curious spirit. Okay, let's tackle a question that's been floating around forever, popping up in movies, self-help books, and maybe even a conversation you've had. Do humans really only use 10% of their brains? It sounds intriguing, right? Like we have this vast, untapped reservoir of superpowers just waiting to be unlocked. But is there any truth to it? Let's find out together. The short answer, backed by mountains of scientific evidence, is a resounding nope, not even close. This idea that 90% of your brain is just sitting there idle, collecting dust, is one of the most persistent and widespread myths about the human body. It's completely false. Think about it for a second. Your brain isn't some lazy roommate taking up space. It's the most energy-demanding organ you have. It's a power hog. While it only makes up about 2% of your body weight, it gobbles up roughly 20% of your body's total energy supply, oxygen and glucose, just to keep running. Why on earth would evolution design such an incredibly expensive organ and then only have 10% of it actually working? That makes absolutely zero sense from a biological perspective. It would be incredibly wasteful. If large parts of our brains were truly unused, natural selection would have favored individuals with smaller, more efficient brains a long, long time ago. But that's not what happened. Our brains are big and hungry because we need all that processing power. So, where did this myth even come from? Pinpointing a single origin is tricky, but it seems to be a mishmash of misinterpretations, exaggerations, and maybe a bit of wishful thinking stretching back decades, maybe even over a century. Some people point to early neuroscience research. Scientists in the late 19th and early 20th centuries were just starting to map out what different parts of the brain did. They discovered that damaging specific areas could cause specific problems, like losing speech or movement in a limb. They also noticed that only certain types of brain cells, the neurons, were actively firing and communicating, while other cells, called glial cells, which are actually incredibly important too, seemed more like support staff. Someone might have crudely interpreted this as only a fraction of the brain being active at any given moment, ignoring the complex orchestra happening beneath the surface. Others link the myth to motivational speakers or self-help gurus who used it as a metaphor. Imagine what you could achieve if you could just unlock that other 90%. It's a powerful, enticing idea, the promise of hidden genius or untapped psychic potential just waiting to be unleashed. And, of course, Hollywood loves it. Movies like Lucy or Limitless run wild with this concept, showing characters gaining superhuman abilities by accessing their brain's full capacity. It makes for great fiction, but terrible science. Modern brain imaging technology completely shatters the 10% myth. Tools like fMRI, functional magnetic resonance imaging, and PET, positron emission tomography, scans allow scientists to literally watch the brain in action. They can see blood flow and metabolic activity, signs of which areas are working hard, while a person is thinking, feeling, moving, seeing, hearing, or even just resting. What do these scans show? Pretty much the whole darn brain lights up over the course of a day, even during seemingly simple tasks or while you're asleep. Sure, not every single neuron is firing at maximum capacity simultaneously all the time. That would be chaotic and inefficient, like trying to drive with your foot slammed on both the gas and the brake. Different tasks require different networks of brain regions to activate. When you're reading this sentence, areas involved in vision, language processing, and comprehension are highly active. When you scratch your nose, motor control areas light up. When you remember what you had for breakfast, memory centers get busy. When you're daydreaming, a whole network called the default mode network hums along. Even when you're deeply asleep, Crucial areas are active managing vital functions, consolidating memories, and performing essential maintenance. Think of your brain like a bustling city. At any given moment, different neighborhoods are busier than others. Downtown might be buzzing during the workday, while the residential areas are quieter. At night, maybe the entertainment district comes alive. Some factories might be running 24/7 for essential services. But crucially, there's no giant, abandoned ghost town district making up 90% of the city that's completely deserted and unused. Every district has a purpose. Every street and building is part of the overall function. If a large part of the brain were truly inactive, damaging it wouldn't cause any problems. But we know that's not true. Strokes, tumors, or injuries to any part of the brain, even relatively small areas, can have devastating and specific consequences. Losing a chunk of supposedly unused brain tissue wouldn't affect you if it wasn't doing anything important. The fact that damage anywhere causes problems is strong proof that all parts have a role to play. Whether it's processing sensory information, controlling movement, regulating emotions, managing hormones, keeping your heart beating, or forming complex thoughts, every region contributes to the incredible machine that is you. Now, let's talk about what people often mean when they say, we only use 10%. Sometimes, it's not meant literally about brain tissue, but more metaphorically about our potential. Are we always operating at peak cognitive performance? Probably not. Can we learn to think better, learn faster, be more creative, or manage our emotions more effectively? Absolutely. This is where the kernel of truth gets twisted into the myth. We can absolutely improve our cognitive abilities and unlock more of our potential, but this has nothing to do with magically accessing dormant brain tissue. It's about strengthening the connections we already have. Your brain is incredibly plastic, meaning it can change and adapt throughout your life. When you learn a new skill, like playing guitar or speaking a new language, you're not activating previously silent neurons. Instead, you're physically changing your brain, strengthening the connections, synapses, between neurons that are already involved in related tasks, building new pathways, and making existing networks more efficient. It's like upgrading the software and improving the communication lines within the city, not discovering a whole new unused district. Practice, learning, good sleep, proper nutrition, and mental challenges help optimize the brain you already fully use. You can become smarter, faster, and more skilled, but it's through hard work and neural remodeling, not by flipping a switch on some mythical unused reserve. It's also important to understand the different types of brain cells. Neurons are the flashy ones, the cells that send electrical signals and communicate with each other. But they're vastly outnumbered by glial cells. For decades, glial cells, which include astrocytes, oligodendrocytes, and microglia, were thought of as just the brain's support staff, providing nutrients, cleaning up waste, offering structural support, and insulating the neuronal wires, axons, with myelin. The 10% myth sometimes mistakenly focused only on active neurons, ignoring the glia. However, modern science reveals that glial cells are absolutely essential and incredibly active participants in brain function. They influence how neurons communicate, help form synapses, play critical roles in the immune defense of the brain, and are involved in information processing themselves. Saying we only use 10% of our brains because only neurons are active ignores the crucial, constant work of billions of glial cells keeping the whole system running smoothly. The brain is a team effort, and the entire team is on the field and working hard. So, why does this myth stick around so stubbornly? Well, it's incredibly appealing. It offers hope. It suggests that within each of us lies a hidden genius, just waiting to be set free with the right technique, pill, or accident. It taps into our desire for untapped potential and easy fixes. It makes neuroscience seem mysterious and magical. And, as mentioned, it's been relentlessly promoted in popular culture. Debunking it might feel a bit like taking away that hope, but the reality is actually far more empowering and awe-inspiring. Your brain, right now, as it is already an extraordinary marvel. Every second, billions of neurons are firing, Trillions of connections are humming, orchestrating everything from your heartbeat to your appreciation of a sunset, from solving a math problem to feeling love. It's constantly adapting, learning, and managing an unimaginably complex array of tasks simultaneously, mostly without you even having to think about it. Understanding that we use virtually all of our brain, all the time, highlights its incredible efficiency and complexity, not its limitations. It means that your everyday thoughts, feelings, and actions are already the product of your entire, magnificent brain working at full capacity. The potential lies not in accessing some mythical unused portion, but in nurturing, challenging, and optimizing the astonishing organ you already possess. Keep learning, keep exploring, and appreciate the incredible, fully utilized powerhouse inside your skull. Thanks so much for joining me on this journey into your own mind. Stay curious, stay kind to your amazing brain, and take great care of yourselves. See you next time.